Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed fellow researchers, dear Chairman, thank you for joining my presentation. I'm humbled to participate at this year's Taihe Civilization Forum and to share my thoughts on the issue of climate change. At times where we also live through periods of hardship and relief from the global pandemic, and where heat waves and floods have made the public more convinced of the relation between extreme weather and climate change. I'm Thorsten Jelinek. I'm a senior fellow at the Taihe Institute and the director of the Taihe Europe Center. This year started with a sense of optimism about global climate collaboration and coordination. Just a few weeks ago, the G20 finance ministers have recognized for the first time carbon pricing as a potential tool to address climate change. Promoting such strong and necessary economic incentive must be seen against the backdrop of the United States just rejoining the Paris Agreement and with newly defined carbon reduction targets in green investment plans. For this year, we still have in front of us the COP15 on biodiversity in Kunming, the COP26 in Glasgow, and the G20 leaders meeting in Rome. The recent fires and floods raise the stakes at those back-to-back meetings in more rapidly translating carbon peaking and carbon zero pledges into national and regional mechanisms and laws that could also inform the reform of the World Trade Organization, accelerate the energy transition, and support a more rapid transition to an economy aligned with the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals. Europe's Green Deal is the most advanced in terms of carbon pricing instruments and intervention, and includes the emission trading scheme, which is the most advanced one in the world, the green finance framework with a common taxonomy, and the sustainable finance disclosure regulation to disclose to so-called ESG's risk, and the carbon border adjustment mechanism. While the US is catching up with Europe and China, there has been substantial collaboration between the EU and China in the past. The EU and Germany have supported China in establishing China's own national emission trading system, which was finally launched on July 16 and now is the largest carbon market in the world before the European one. Secondly, the People's Bank of China collaborates with the EU on green finance to adopt a common green taxonomy to reorient capital flows and support achieving China's third 30-60 peaking neutrality goals. Regarding Europe's sustainable finance disclosure regulation, China's financial market participants also trying to adapt ESG indicators to their local context, and the government seeks or pushes to standardize disclosure. Thirdly, the EU-China Comprehensive Investment Agreement is on hold, but has a provision on investment and environment which could impact the incentive structure. Those achievements are based on the EU-China Partnership on Climate Change, which already started in 2005 and which runs alongside national cooperation like the Sino-German Environment Forum, which I could attend myself in the past. Regarding Europe's carbon border adjustment mechanism, there has been a pushback internationally from both sides, the US and China. From 2023, CBAM will impose levies on carbon footprint of imported goods to prevent carbon leakage. While this could be a Brussels moment within Europe, outside Europe, it is also perceived as a potential trade barrier and protectionist measure, which could provoke countermeasures, but without reducing any emissions. So as a consequence, China urges the EU to link the border adjustment mechanism to the emission trading system and exempt China's economy to avoid a double burden for Chinese businesses. However, given the significant differences between Europe's and China's carbon market schemes, great efforts still need to be done to link both systems and ensure fairness. Thus, ongoing collaboration and coordination remains essential to identifying commonalities, acknowledging differences, and reducing those differences over time, though time is of an essence. Those ongoing efforts also highlight that an over-reliance on technology and markets, which has been the case in the past, won't solve climate change. Scientists must look at the multiple and interrelated drivers of the current storms, fires, floods, and more generally into carbon reduction and geoengineering technologies, including carbon capture, storage, plant-based geological carbon sinks, or decarbonization based on intelligent cyber-physical systems, which is also my focus. For example, less than 1% of scientific papers on artificial intelligence and machine learning address SDGs, thus including the mitigation of climate change. This is to say, much more needs to be done from a technological perspective. However, technology should not take the focus off nationally and internationally coordinated political action. On the contrary, primarily through governance and political intervention can we change incentive structures that make possible a global circular economy. In fact, we are already experiencing, as the Financial Times just called it, a renaissance for industrial policy. And I quote, "After 3 decades, when most governments were content to leave economic change to the market's invisible hand, politicians of all stripes have become convinced of the need for a stronger political steer on growth. Thus, to me it seems that competing systems are somehow converging more than we probably admit." To finish my talk, it also seems that it has become highly unlikely to remain within the 1.5-degree global warming scenario. More immediate cuts to greenhouse gas emissions and more radical interventions might become inevitable. Still, those interventions must be done in socially just ways and recognize the different stages of economic development. In large parts, China still is a developing country, but China needs to continue playing a role model for the global south. Once China even overtakes Europe in terms of coordinated climate action, we can certainly be surer to have mitigated the greatest human self-made risk. Thank you very much.